Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome back to Barb's Basement. Last night, as I felt the veil of sweet slumber fall over me, I heard a loud banging on the ceiling above. Barb started shouting that I can sleep once I have the next video done. Every day I grow more and more exhausted as each sleepless night passes. I am slowly being driven to the brink of total mental destruction. I swear to the Force, that lady is a living sleep paralysis demon. So, last week we were going over Knights of the Old Republic issue 0, a quick introductory issue for the time period. The issue starts off on the upper levels of Terrace, with a shady deal taking place. Marn, aka Griff, is making an illegal purchase of stolen Republic munitions from a cloaked being. This being is quickly revealed to be none other than Jedi Padawan Zayne Carrick. Zayne and Griff have a sordid past. They know one another pretty well for all of the wrong reasons. Zayne is a comedy of errors. In the vast history of brave Jedi warriors, Zayne would not even come close to making it as an honorable mention in the Jedi archives. Before Zayne can even get his cuffs out, Griff hits the jets on his chair, sending him vaulting over the edge of the walkway to the Undercity below. Zayne is able to cut himself free from his chair with his lightsaber, but is falling fast. Luckily for the young Jedi, he is saved by none other than Alec Squints, aka future Darth Malak. Alec is second only to Revan in notoriety. They are both the figureheads of the rogue Jedi war effort in the Mandalorian Wars. Alec tells Zayne that he and his master are on their way to the front lines of the Mandalorian Wars, and they are actively trying to recruit other Jedi to the war effort. Zayne politely tells Alec that he probably isn't going to have much luck here on Terrace. The Masters here believe as the Council does. The war is solely the responsibility of the Republic. The Jedi have the duty of making sure that the Sith are never able to return to cause destruction on the galaxy. As Zayne and Alec descend to the loading docks, we see the Masters of the Temple of Terrace wrapping up their conversation with Revan. Before Alec departs with his master, he turns back to give Zayne some words of encouragement. He tells him that he isn't sure why, but he feels that Zayne has a much bigger role to play in the events to come. He implores him to keep his mind open to whatever journey he is yet to go on. That is what himself and his master are doing. Sometimes you have to enter the darkness to save those that live in the light. Foreshadowing his eventual fall to the dark side as Darth Malak. With a friendly wave goodbye, Alec departs. As their shuttle takes off, Cornelia has a vision so powerful that it forces her knees to buckle. Master Lucien is quick to help her back to her feet, asking her what happened. She says that the lines have crossed. Something bad, very bad, is near. Everything has now changed. Lucien tells the Jedi Masters that their plans must now change, and that they will find out for sure what is going on. This time they will do something about what the future may bring. So this week we pick up with issue number 1, Commencement. We open once again on the upper levels of Terrace, and yet another shady deal is going down. Griff tells his buyers to calm down. Stuff like this always happens on the surface, and the can-stab-you-layers have enough to do. They won't be bothered. Griff is trying to dump some spice and booze. The buyers ask Griff how he came about having all of these wares. Griff says that he has no secrets, he just has a keen snout for deals. Griff has a team of droids and an agreement with the High Port Authority. His team comes in, and the bargains come out. As they speak, there is an ale freighter with the sewage of the underworld headed to Coruscant. Clearly, Griff has his workarounds. One of his buyers remarks that he has even better deals than the Volkers or the Hidden Becks, two of the most prominent gangs of the underworld of Terrace. Griff confidently says that's because he's an independent operator. He doesn't deal with all the gang and the scum and villainy of the underworld. He passes the savings directly onto his clients, and that's a guarantee. Zayne, being the sneaky devil that he is, managed to sneak into the shop and cuts down all of Griff's droids, more than likely crippling the poor Sniven's operations. In a moment of total disrespect, Griff calls Zayne Wayne. Jesus, I just love these two together so much. They're a regular odd couple. As his buyers go running off at the side of a Jedi, Griff shouts out that there's no need to run. He isn't really a Jedi, he's more of an intern. Zayne retorts that he's a Padawan, not an intern. Griff tells him that he is in fact a chump as he hits the release switch on all of his containers of the hot Terrace piss. Zayne reacts with the swiftness of a Jedi, but blows up a canister and Zayne is absolutely drenched. Griff takes off on foot and Zayne gives chase. Griff beelines it for an escape ladder. Zayne reaches into his bag of Jedi tricks and pulls out the good old-fashioned Jedi mind trick. Zayne tries to convince Griff that he doesn't actually want to run. He wants to climb down and turn himself in. Griff, being the master sleuth that he is, repeats the words back to Zayne, feigning that the mind trick has actually worked. He quickly turns around and gives Zayne a taste of his furry foot. Zayne comically tells Marn that he's supposed to do what he says. Those ancient Jedi secrets may work on lesser beings, but not on the Griff. And that's a guarantee. As Zayne starts to lose his grip because of the ones and twos of Terrace, Griff says So long, intern. Next, we cut to a conversation between Senator Garavis and Yervo. They are discussing tax breaks for Lucien Industries. Yervo tells the senator that he doesn't understand how expensive it is to do business on Terrace. And on top of that, the gangs from the underworld are running rampant on the surface. Even the small-timers are now bold enough to operate on the higher levels of the city world. The senator reassures Yervo that the constable has plans for the gangs, and the small-timers will be taken care of in no time by the Jedi. Just as the senator finishes his thoughts, our boy Zayne goes flying past her transport. The senator asks Yervo just how heavy those tax breaks need to be. Not enough credits in the galaxy, my friend. Zayne bonks his way from transport to transport before he crashes through a window. Before Zayne can collect his thoughts, he has 9 lightsabers pointing directly at his throat. Luckily for Zayne, he just so happened to crash land in the banquet that his masters had planned for all of their Padawans. Zayne is obviously very apologetic, telling his masters that he is so sorry that he was so close to catching Marn this time. His master tells him that it's a little too late for that. He will have to go and catch the grifter himself. Before Zayne can try and prove himself, the table that he crash landed on collapses under his weight. This dude really cannot catch a break. Not letting his Padawan upset the celebrations, Lucien begins to give his toast to the other students, telling them that even for those who study Serenity, this is an exciting time. All of the other students have passed their trials and their names have been given to the Jedi Council on Coruscant for review. And with the Force willing, they will come to serve the Force for decades. A toast to an important day in the Jedi Order. With his master having little to no sympathy for his young Padawan, his fellow Jedi Shad helps Zayne to his feet. He tells Zayne that he sure has a way of getting the attention of the masters, with another student telling him that he should probably try and get less of it. Shad asks Zayne if he was celebrating early. He smells like the floor of a cantina on a hot day. Also, he smells like piss. Zayne tells the students not to ask. He doesn't even have much to celebrate, but the 4 other Padawans will more than likely be knighted. Shad, having no emotional awareness, tells Zayne that so many Jedi are running off to join the Mandalorian Wars that they are in dire need of knights to join the Order. Nothing screams brave Jedi like lowered standards. The rest of the students have a theory about Zayne. They think that he is funking on purpose just so he can stay on Terrace and see Shad's sister. Zayne is just happy that she wasn't there to see him crash the banquet covered in piss and shit. Right on cue, for my boy Zayne, Shell enters the room. Since their knighting ceremony is private, the Masters have invited the families of all the Jedi students. These aren't the Jedi of Obi-Wan and Anakin's era. These Jedi allow students to have connections to their families and even take students at an older age, before the Jedi became more dogmatic and political. While the other students have family coming, Zayne's family is unfortunately off-world. Sadly for Zayne, this is for the best. He has made a fool of himself in front of his family enough. He might as well give the other families a turn to laugh at him. Changing the subject, he asks Shell how she is doing. She asks if this is a bad situation. Zayne, ever the jokester, says that it's okay. He brings on the Jedi Order 3 or 4 times a day, and nothing has stopped him yet. This is why everyone should love Zayne. He may be middling in the Force and a bit of a fuck-up, but he's always optimistic, and he looks for the best of any situation. Across the room, Cornelia clearly has something on her mind, and Lucien probes her, asking what is bothering her. With a single ominous tear streaming down her cheek, she tells Lucien that, in some weird way, she's glad that they did this. Soon things will change and they will never be the same. It is a sad day in the Order. Lucien disagrees. He tells her that the Force leads them wherever they may go. The Jedi Order must go on. The true sad day is when Lucien Dre, of all people, has to explain the unifying Force to her, given what she is and what he isn't. It is all the same to her. She will miss all of the students, even Zayne. In a depressing, your parents talking shit on you when they think you aren't around moment, Cornelia tells Lucien Zayne doesn't reflect poorly on him. Lucien admits that Zayne has been rather entertaining over the years, but there are more important things to think about. They have a lot of preparation to do before the night is done. Zamar approaches the 2 masters and asks if Lucien had contacted Coruscant. Lucien tells him that he did, but Zamar wants to know what she had to say. Lucien says that it's all set and Zamar can be at peace. Shouting from across the room, Lucien tells Zayne that he has to make sure that the manager is compensated. Zayne says that he'll take care of all of the damage, but to add insult to injury, Lucien tells him that he also has to pay for his meal, with hard credits, therefore making him completely broke. As Lucien and his fellow masters leave, he tells Zayne not to be late for the ceremony. In a moment of kinship, Zayne's fellow students chip in all of the credits they have to cover his bill. Zayne is reluctant to take their credits. They should save their money for their families, but the students won't need these credits. Soon they will be living without possessions. Shad assures Zayne that everything will work out fine, and they will catch back up with him later. As the sun sets, Zayne is still at the restaurant, dealing with Mr. Mustachio.
Wow! What do you know?
Zayne impatiently asks if the bill is figured out yet. The table that Zayne broke was no ordinary table. It was Taboon hardwood, and rather expensive. Zayne pleads with the owner. The ceremony is in less than an hour. He wants him to just take all the credits that he has. Interrupting the owner as he says that next time he won't be hosting a Jedi party without insurance, Zayne spots Griff walking the streets. Without hesitation, Zayne leaps from the window. Without paying, of course. As Zayne hits the ground, the restaurant owner screams at Zayne to come back and to give him his money. The buyer can't resist the price that Griff is offering. telling the buyer to ignore the mess, they've had Minox. By Minox he means Zayne sabering through everything with the computing chip. Behind Griff, a bag of credits hits the ground. Ever the grifter, Marn immediately picks it up. Zayne throws Griff into a full Nelson and Griff goes into full panic mode, screaming for help and saying that he's being mugged by some spice head. Zayne knows this trick won't work here. No one cares about anyone else in this city, but Griff knows what they do care about: money. Tossing the coins into the air, every being in the area dives at them. As they swarm around Zayne, scrambling for some hard credits, Griff sets off on foot. Before he can get far, Zayne uses the Force to lift him off the ground. Marn says that he must have lost some weight, but Zayne has lost all of his money. He was truly shocked to see Marn toss any amount of credits, but that is chump change to a boss-hog gangster like Griff. But it didn't stop him from going after it in the first place. Now handcuffed to Zayne's speeder, Griff tries to negotiate his way out of his arrest. Zayne tells the Sniven that the Jedi don't pay, at least not that he would know. By the time he's a Jedi, all the rules may have changed. Griff bets that he will still lose that Padawan braid, and he knows some people who would pay top dollar for that braid. Even in a galaxy far, far away, people have some weird fetishes. Not to kink shame, ever the good guy, Zayne tells Marn that if he is chosen to be knighted, he will give him his braid. Griff asks what the odds of that actually happening are. Zayne says, not great unless all the masters completely lose their mind and forget all the memories they have of him. In case Griff hasn't noticed, Zayne kinda stinks at being a Jedi, but the Sniven doesn't mind. He has a very attuned snout, and to him, all beings stink. He asks Zayne if he's going to take him to the Grand High Saber Twirler. Zayne tells him that he isn't even allowed in the temple. Zayne's not even supposed to bring a prisoner there to begin with. But he's in a hurry. Handcuffing Griff to the speeder, he tells him that with any luck, he can still catch the end of the ceremony, and he can finally see his childhood friends become Jedi Knights. Mad dashing for the temple, he tells Griff to wish him luck. Sprinting to the Jedi Council chambers, he is already begging for forgiveness, as he happens upon the most life-changing moment that he will ever experience. The Masters of the Terrace Temple are standing over the bodies of their students, with fresh lightsaber wounds piercing their torsos. Breaking the silence, Master Lucien says, "You're late, young one," as Zayne turns to flee. Thus concludes issue number 1 of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. What was once a lighthearted story of a young Padawan who just couldn't catch a break, it has now evolved into a tragedy. Zayne saw his masters, his caretaker since he was a child, standing over the bodies of his childhood friends. While Zayne thinks he isn't worthy to be a Knight of the Jedi Order, he knew that his friends were more than worthy. With one twisted choice by these Jedi Masters, 5 potential Jedi Knights were cut down for unknown reasons. Now Zayne very quickly needs to learn how to outmaneuver Jedi Masters who are out to kill all of their Padawans. So many emotions must be running through Zayne's head, all while his archenemy is handcuffed to his speeder bike. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's issue of KOTOR. I know that I did. Make sure you come back next week to find out if and how Zayne escapes this life-threatening situation. Make sure you check out last week's episode of KOTOR and our latest issue of Legacy. If you guys have any other topics that you want me to touch on next week, leave it in the comments below. Make sure that you like the video. Apparently that actually does help a ton with getting it seen by other people, and obviously we want the channel to grow and we want more of you nice young people trapped here with us in Barb's basement. And until next time, I will still be here in Barb's basement.